Hi, this is Katie Breslin. I'm the Young Adult Program Manager here at FCNL, and I'm so excited to be talking to Amelia Keegan. We had a little technical difficulties with our Zoom call earlier, so we're giving you a recording of us talking about what to expect at your meeting. But Amelia, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure, yeah. I'm Amelia Keegan. I lead our domestic policy team here at FCNL, and I am really excited to be talking to all of you this evening. We are thrilled that you all are coming on your way to DC in just a couple weeks. We're getting prepared, we're getting excited. You all are coming at such an important time, and really grateful that we'll be able to spend some good time with you all.
Annual meeting is always one of my favorite times of the year because I feel like I'm seeing all of my friends and family that I see along the road. It's kind of like a family reunion, but it's a family reunion that also goes to lobby Congress and is really effective. So I'm really excited to have to be with my family of advocates lobbying on a really important bill. So tell me a little bit about what we're actually going to be doing at annual meeting. All these people are coming from across the country to come to DC, to come here to talk to Congress, but what are they actually coming to talk about?
Great question. So what are we talking about at annual meeting? We are going to be talking about a bill that is in the midst of final negotiations, and it could go one of two ways. It could make it harder for people who are struggling in this economy to find or keep work, make it harder for them to put food on the table by taking away SNAP benefits, or the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as food stamps, taking those benefits away from people because they aren't able to find a job. Or Congress can take the second route and protect and strengthen SNAP, which is our largest and most effective anti-hunger program. So what we are the specific ask for Congress, we have a House and we have a Senate bill, and so the ask is for Congress to help families keep food on the table by passing a final farm bill that mirrors the Senate SNAP provisions. Pass a final farm bill that mirrors the Senate's SNAP provisions.
All right, so now it's my turn. So we want Congress to pass a final farm bill that will help families keep food on the table by mirroring the Senate provisions. Is that right?
The Senate SNAP provisions, yes.
I'm really excited. Yeah, it sounds like a really important bill. So tell me a little bit about why it's important. Why now? Like, why do we have to do this?
Right.
To pass it.
Right. So when you think about what is going on right now, there's a lot happening in DC. There's a lot happening in our country right now. There's a lot happening in our world right now. And one of the themes that I see that is so distressing is this seemingly constant and continuous effort to further benefit and advantage those with the most wealth, the most power, the most privilege, oftentimes at the direct expense of those with the least power, the least wealth, the least privilege. And this is one of those kind of potential both opportunities, but can run in within that theme, right? There is an effort to take food away from people because they aren't able to find or keep work. That is absolutely wrong. And so in this time when there is so much that is happening, and a lot of it oftentimes feels a little bit out of control, or we don't know what we can do about it, this is something that will be before Congress when everyone is here for annual meeting and QPPI. It is something that we can influence, and I believe it is something we can win.
Wow, I'm really excited to come to annual meeting and mobilize all these people to come lobby Congress, because it sounds like this is the really important time given where Congress is in this lame duck period. It sounds like now is the time for us to really come together and really push through this final farm bill. So thank you for that. So what are advocates coming in from across the country? What should they expect? What's happening on Capitol Hill right now? that they should be prepared for when they get here?
Well, a lot is happening on Capitol Hill. It was pretty quiet here the past few weeks as members of Congress were out campaigning, but they were all returned today, and so they have a lot on their agenda for the lame duck session of what they have to accomplish before the end of the year. And one of those things is the Farm Bill. They do have to do something before January. So they're negotiating between these two bills. And I mentioned that we have a House version and we have a Senate version. So let me just explain a little bit about the differences between those two bills. So the Senate bill passed with overwhelming bipartisan support by a vote of 86 to 11. We don't see that kind of vote or bipartisan support for many initiatives in Congress, but we saw it on this. And that bill not only protects SNAP, but it doubles down on some important pilot programs that were in the last Farm Bill to really kind of invest in and see what is most effective at helping individuals in certain populations that often face barriers to employment, how to help them get into the workforce. And so looking specifically at individuals with criminal records, older Americans, veterans, and people with disabilities, and people with substance use disorders. So kind of doubling down on some of those pilot projects, pilot programs, and protecting the overall SNAP program. So that's one option, this really bipartisan bill that protects and strengthens SNAP. Option two is the House bill. It is extremely partisan. It failed on the first attempt on the House floor. The second attempt, it passed by just 2 votes. Not one single Democrat voted for that bill. And the House bill says that the current existing work requirements that SNAP has, which essentially limit an able-bodied adult who doesn't have dependent children, limits those individuals who don't have a job to 3 months of SNAP benefits for a 3-year period. 3 months to be able to find a job if you aren't in a qualified, educated, if you aren't in school or a qualified program. So the House bill says that is too lenient. And right now, it does a number of things to further restrict that, including shortening that time limit from 3 months to 1 month. But it also says that states that right now have the ability in certain communities that have higher unemployment rates, states can waive that 3-month time limit because it's unfair to punish someone for not being able to get a job when there aren't any jobs to get, right? But that House bill says that that state wants to take away that type of state flexibility. So that's another problem. So Congress has a choice, right? They can kick more people off of SNAP, a program that helps 40 million Americans put food on the table, half of them kids, or Congress can choose to prove that it really can function, that it can work across the aisle and pass meaningful legislation that strengthens America's most effective nutrition program, really investing in people and communities struggling to keep their heads above water. So that's what's the choice, that's what's at stake. This is kind of the future of SNAP for decades, potentially, depending upon how this vote goes. And they're going to be making this choice very possibly right when everyone is in town for QPPI.
No pressure. And it sounds like a pretty clear choice that we should go with the bipartisan Senate bill that protects our largest anti-poverty program or anti-hunger program than making all of these other requirements that the House bill does. It seems like it's a pretty clear choice that we should go with the Senate provisions to help families keep food on the table.
Absolutely.
So what should people know? We have people coming to annual meeting that are really excited and are obviously going to feel super hyped after this conversation with you via video. So what do you think people should know going into annual meeting?
Well, I think a couple things. One is, and we will go over this many, many more times, but get familiar with the ask. So again, we are asking Congress to pass a final farm bill that mirrors the Senate SNAP provision. So get familiar with that. The second thing I think, as we already talked about, but remember that SNAP already has work requirements. You are already limited to 3 months of SNAP if you're able-bodied adult without dependents and don't have a job, and so, or aren't working at least 20 hours a week. So SNAP already has work requirements, which I think oftentimes gets lost in this debate. I think the other thing is, and again, we will talk about kind of what you can expect in your Hill meetings and how to anticipate possible pushback, but we'll give you a sneak peek here. I think if you start to hear, in your meetings, people talking about, well, we really need work requirements, or people should be working when they're on SNAP or to be able to get benefits. One thing that we talk about is reminding folks that SNAP already has work requirements, but also taking food away from people is no way to help them get a job, right? It doesn't make it any easier to find employment or get the skills you need or find that childcare or afford childcare or access to transportation. Taking food away from people will actually make it harder for people struggling to find work or stay employed. So certainly that is a pretty basic fundamental idea. But I think repeating that is a good one. And then redirecting it to, we know what does actually help a lot of people get into the workforce, and it's usually addressing those barriers to employment and investing in affordable, quality childcare, investing in access to transportation, investing in education and skills development, and really addressing discrimination in the workplace, and especially individuals like people with criminal records who have a hard time getting employed. So that's what we should be working on, not taking food away from people. And then I would say 2 other things. One is, Congress can get this done. Congress can get this done. This bill, that Senate bill, huge bipartisan support. If you put something like that on the House floor, it would also get bipartisan support. So I think that is another kind of argument of why the House should pass something, or why the final bill should have something that mirrors the Senate SNAP provisions. And then finally, I just want to say, you don't need to remember everything we've told you here. You don't need to know all the stats or all the facts or anything like that. We have a bunch of materials on our website, but you're going to get a ton of training at annual meeting and QPPI, and we've got some great speakers coming to you. But really what's most important is your story, and thinking about, why do you care about this issue? What moves you about this issue? And reflect on that a bit, because that's really what's going to be the most powerful thing that you can bring to your congressional offices.
Yeah, in the Young Adult Network, I always say, we have a lot of people that are experts in this, but you are the expert in your own story. So remembering that, and that's what congressional offices want to hear from, how removing, adding these additional work requirements are going to affect your community. And so I think you're absolutely right that focusing on that and reminding people that it's really hard to look for a job when you don't have food. Like, why are we doing this work? We're doing it because it's going to hurt our communities if we don't fully fund the SNAP program. Yep. So thank you so much. Thank you, Amelia, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that we missed, or are you excited for annual meeting?
Yeah, we can't wait for you to come.
I'm
Boy, are we
excited too.
preparing, and we're sure to have a really, I think it'll be a very powerful experience. We've just had a really intense election, and I think coming back and hoping that we can get some really good stuff done out of Congress before the end of the year, and then we're going to look towards 2019. So.
Yeah, can't wait to see you soon. See you in a few days.